Welcome to the Carousel. I am John Musum. With me, we have Joey Nebula.
Hi.
We have the other Jay-Z.
Why are we yelling?
Yay!
Because shit
because we
fucking
want
works
to.
this time.
Yay! Stuff works.
8:02, and we're already running.
I know.
Yeah, I know. This is a Christmas miracle, Charlie Brown.
I know. Okay. Let me think. News announcements. We're going to do this every night, Monday night from approximately 8 p.m., going no later than 9:30 p.m. Fuck the man. We're staying up late.
But late.
Oh, crap.
Late is so. I know. I'm such a fucking wuss anymore. Like I stayed up. I had to work until almost 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and the next day I was just fucking wiped. And that
Jesus, are you a fucking gravedigger?
I'm a fucking programmer, which is about the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, they treat us about the same. But yeah, I had to do database maintenance, which I'm sure our listenership really wants to hear me talk about. So I'm gonna shut up now. But moral of the story, I was tired as hell. I know everybody wants to hear about database upgrades. Database upgrades are what the kids are talking about anymore.
I know. And there's no way to fucking tie this in. There is a wolf among your databases I have to talk about.
Actually, there was a really nasty one out. So that was my weak attempt to try to save you, John, but it's not gonna work.
Yeah, no. So like I played through a Wolf Among Us. Me and Susie did just this last week or two. They gave it away on
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Play through the whole shit.
Yeah, it's only like they gave you it's 5 episodes. It's a Telltale game. Each episode's about 1 to 2 hours, and the further you go in the series, the shorter the episodes get.
I've always liked that they've done that. That seems to be like the Back to the Future ones, which everyone loved at the time, but I thought were not fun. Ever sort of since then, and when they got to Walking Dead, they've really done a good job of, here's your big establishing episode, and then it sort of shrinks down as you move on. It gives it a lot better sort of feel.
Yeah, and really by the time you get to the last one, you're really ready for it to kind of conclude anyway. Granted, I've really only I played a little bit of the Back to the Future one. I didn't like it. That was another PS Plus game, I think, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I played The Walking Dead, which was of course was fantastic outside of the parts where they made you shoot someone.
See, I liked that. That made me shoot people. I'm weird. I like to get out of the game, so. But
the shooting, the issue was the mechanics were
the
horrible.
mechanics were pretty bad as far as that went. But the game was so good, though. The story was so good, it made up for any of that bullshit shooting mechanic stuff that it had in it.
I'm real scared to go back and play it again, which is why I haven't. Because I don't know why I would think this, but I think it's probably just because I liked it the first time so much that I feel like if I went back and played it again, I go, this isn't quite as great as I remember, The only game I can think of that really holds up that well for me is either of the Portal games.
Yeah, though puzzle games, that's kind of a special case with puzzle games too, with Portal, because I can replay Portal fucking all the time, and it's still just as great. Because there's so many puzzles that I forget how I solved them. So it's
there's only 15 levels in the first one, but
yeah.
Anyway, we're getting away from wolves. So sorry, go ahead, John.
It's okay. We got time. So Wolves is based off of the Fables property. For those not familiar with Fables, if you're familiar with one, yeah, you should. Bill Wellington, I think his name, Wilmington. Yeah, that's probably closer.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I can't remember.
It's a name that looks like it should be easy and is needlessly complicated.
Yes.
I give his name a 7 out of 10.
Would
read again.
But no, I'm pretty sure Vertigo puts the Fables comics out. But the whole basis is that all the fairy tale characters have been kicked out of fairy tale land by the adversary and are now living in a city in the real world. And so you have like Snow White working for the mayor's office. Bigby's the town sheriff. If that's not immediately office, it's the big bad wolf. His name is Bigby Wolf. So
I thought that was clever. It's a dumb pun, but I love dumb puns. So.
it was clever as hell. It was like when I read American Gods, and like I'm reading about the main character's prison mate, Low Key, and like like it didn't, like when you're reading it in text, you're not saying it aloud, so you just see the word low and then the word key, and you don't even think.
And you're like, that's a good criminal name.
And here's my friend John C. Shankington.
Yes. That doesn't tie into Norse mythology, though.
Yeah.
Unless Shankington was one of the Norse gods, I don't know. I don't study history.
I think they lived there. I think that's where the Rainbow Bridge went, to Shankington.
Yeah. Right, the Rainbow Bridge to Shankington. That's my new. It's gonna be my new slang for fucking people over.
It was an awful Dropkick Murphys song.
Yes.
Oh, God. Sorry, I'll edit this out. Okay.
John's battle cry.
Well,
I'll edit this out.
yeah, no, I'll get it in post. No, I forgot. I forgot to tell you guys before. We gotta, have titles.
I'm on it. Don't you worry.
So everyone, if anyone is actually in the audience, you should help us too.
Yes.
Anyway, so Bigby's kind of the ultimate Wolverine style character in the comics, except where Wolverine became, ultra saturated in everything, and just like could do everything and really lost any concept of character. Bigby is very much stayed true to his core and kind of the reformed, horrible murderer.
How long has this been a thing? Not the game, the books.
Fable's a really long time. It's been God.
I want to say the 90s is when it started.
Probably late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and the series is over by now, I think.
I think it's still going on, actually. I don't quote me on that, I guess, but like I thought it was still.
Oh, I thought I had read that he had decided to bring the series to an end. So.
Did he?
Looking it up on Wikipedia, it started in May of 2002, and there are 150 issues out.
Mm.
Okay. Was there talks about maybe doing a TV show based on that at some point? I feel like there was.
There was,
yes.
And they got kind of. We got Once Upon a Time, and what the hell was the Grimm?
Grimm. Okay.
That everybody says kind of replaced it.
Well, and the funny part is Bill W. Not gonna say his last name again.
Billy W.
Billy.
Billy Shankington.
He actually went out on the internet and is like, "Hey guys, quit freaking out about Once. I like the show. This is a genre. This is not them copying me. It's okay."
Yeah.
Well, plus everything would have to be pink. Because everything on all those streets, all that neon is pink, which is actually, I really like the credit sequence, I guess you'd call it, where it's that pink background and there's all the shadows in front.
Oh, back to the game. Yeah, the game. I love the intro because it gives it that TV show type of feel.
Yeah.
And they always have, the good telltale recap and the previews, and the game has a really, really film noir kind of feel to me. Not that I'm an expert on film noir subject, but that's where it hits me.
There's a lot of that. Yep.
There's a lot of bad shit going on. You're really not quite sure what, and at the end, you know what? There's still a lot of bad shit
going on.
You just happen to wrap up maybe some of it.
And everyone lies to you every chance they get.
Yeah, that's
at least the first episode that I played.
Have you played beyond the first episode?
I don't think so, but I felt like Bigby House for that entire first segment. Like between God, I forget her name. The Lady of the Night. And then the Toad and like just everybody just fucking if they can lie to you, they do.
Did you say it was like Bigby House?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't shave.
Right, yeah, and it's definitely Lupus in this case.
Well, I mean, it's a detective story.
Because he's a wolf, get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ha!
I tried.
One of the things
I tried so hard. Okay, I'll shut up. Go.
Okay. So he takes a bite out of some crimes in this game, and that was a bad joke. I apologize.
It was a big bad joke. Yes.
It was a big bad joke. My Lupus one was way better, John.
See, and that's the opposite. You almost got to see that one on the page for it to click, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, so like one of the things I liked about the game too was that, like, and this was a character I never encountered in the comics. Maybe he eventually showed up, but I've only read up until after the adversary story arc, which is the first, I don't know, 70 to 100 issues or something. But the fucking woodsman's in it, you know, from Little Red Riding Hood.
Dude, that first episode thing with him was creepy as hell.
Well, he's like the first thing you run into, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He is in all the episodes. And granted, like, I don't know.
Well, there's it seemed like there was going to be maybe some allegiance changes, but I couldn't quite tell. I don't know. It seemed like he was sort of not quite as salty by the end of that first one.
Yeah, he doesn't beat any more women the rest of the series.
Well, that's good.
It's certainly a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I guess being a man, I didn't really think about it and was nice to him the rest of the episodes, but I could see why anyone else would hold a grudge.
Yeah, I was kind of a dick to
him. Like the first episode, I was a little bit. Well, I say that Susie had the controls too, so sometimes she would decide things, but she hates making decisions. So this was kind of an ultimate entertainment fest.
That's a bad thing for her to play.
Yeah, she was constantly like, "What do I do?" And it just so happens that silence in a lot of the situations is actually not a bad option.
Mm-hmm. They are so good at that.
Yeah.
Like, honest to God, you know, you may have gripes with the art on any one of their games or some of the mechanics, you know, people walking too slow, that kind of stuff. But their writing, man, just top notch.
Right on top. Yeah, it's great. I will absolutely agree.
It's like the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm realizing how little I can actually say about the game, because it's all like, even like I can't even, like you mentioned, there was a mistress of the night, you know, a prostitute in the game, and like even saying her name, like I'm not 100% of her name, but if I get the name wrong, I might give a spoiler for a later section of it. And I realize that game, you know, it's probably a half year out, so I probably could spoil it to a degree, but
I think
don't for me, because I haven't finished it. Yeah, it's been out for a bit.
As a
and that's the entirety of the game too, is the story. So
yeah, like the music's pretty spot on. I really liked the artwork, except oddly enough, like I played through the series, and then I went and grabbed my trade paperback of Fables Volume 1, and I realized that they made Bigby a lot more attractive in the game than he is in the book.
Yeah, he has kind of a Hugh Jackman look to him in the game.
Yeah.
As opposed to a huge axeman?
Yes. Jesus, God. Yes, as opposed to a huge axeman.
Snow White in the game is very kind of unsure of herself, whereas in the game, she's huge bitch to everyone, like at the beginning. Like, she's still a great character in both instances. It's just a little weird.
I feel like I could tag up on that, but again, I think it's pretty spoilery if I go into it. So
yeah. I mean, I guess reaching the end of the game and immediately starting the first trade paperback, just the game is a prequel to the comic. Like, there's no other place it could have taken place. Ichabod Crane is not in the comic. I guess that was a spoiler. Whatever.
Yep.
Way to go, John.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Fucking John.
Fuck. I probably shouldn't talk about no.
If your thought process says maybe I shouldn't talk about it, then you probably shouldn't talk about it.
Well, I was trying to make something up on the fly, but then I realized anything I could make up was just really...
It was even worse.
It really didn't need to be said. Yeah, let's just move on.
All right, well then here's your spot. I'll tell you what does about another game that has wolves in it, and that would be Metal Gear Solid. I've been playing the crap out of this lately.
Sir, I believe they're dogs.
Oh, yes. Yes, they're
dogs, wolves, whatever. It lost an eye.
Does it have an eye patch? No.
There are wolves because you can Fulton them back to Mother Base, which is hilarious if you actually think about it, because they're imagining, like, you know, you got these soldiers on Mother Base, and, you know, you can trank a guy when you're out on a mission or whatever. You put him to sleep, you can attach a balloon to him, and it just zooms him 40, 50,000 feet up into the air like it's Dark Knight and he's leaving China. In which I never get tired of that sound. because there's just like you can hear the parachute open and you just hear. You start out generally, you have a buddy you can take with you, and my puppy hasn't grown up yet, so I really only have D-Horse, which is, as you'd imagine, a horse. Well, he's got to get. Depends on the camera angle, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. 2 sets of footprints and just a line going down the middle. So, but anyway, when you
horse. Yeah.
when you go to get back on the chopper to go back to Mother Base, because it's like on an island off the coast of Africa or something like that. So you can't just drive there. So you have to get on the chopper and get airlifted out. Well, the horse he can't get on the chopper, so they Fulton him back. So every time you're leaving, you're before you actually sit in like the actual seat. The doors are open and you're on the side, like in sort of a gunner sort of position. And so you pretty much see the horse sort of framed in the door every time you go to leave, and you hear.
God, that's good. They have to train that horse for so long to like not. just shit on this fucking balloon ride.
You can always tell where our dispatch point was from the giant pile of horse shit on the desert floor.
They're like, big boss has been here.
So anyway, a big part of the game is sort of expanding Mother Base, and I haven't gotten a ton into it yet. I just started building my first extra platform because you guys played Metal Gear Solid 2, right?
I haven't played any of them.
I've seen a friend make a soldier piss by holding a gun to their head for long enough, that type of thing. But I own them all. I have never played more than an hour or two of the first one.
Well, the second one starts out. You have the half hour of Snake, and then that mission goes away, and you're riding for the rest of the game. It took place on these. They called it the Shell. It was basically a bunch of connected sort of oil tankers sort of looking things, and that's kind of how Mother Base feels. It's just this sort of floating base out in the middle of the ocean, and you're trying to build that up, and the more soldiers you have, like if you knock a guy out and Fulton him back to base, all of a sudden he's buddies, like he wants to join your side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, you just shot me into the air in a fucking balloon, I want to be on your side.
Yeah, like, can I do that again?
Can I do that? Can I do that to other people?
I'm literally taking a balloon to work. So a lot of the game is you're sending back all these guys. So all the dudes on base, they must see these balloons come in, and they go, all right, well, here comes another guy who's going to help us out. You can trank animals and send them back to base, and I guess you build a zoo later in the game. So I love the idea of sending wolves back when these guys are expecting unconscious soldiers.
You're like, here sends us another recruit. Here we go. Oh my god!
Wolves!
Wolves!
So can you do anything with the zoo?
I haven't built it yet.
Oh.
So ostensibly these wolves are just hanging out in the cafeteria. But they wake up when you send them back, as you hear them go, whoa! So that's been sort of the majority of the fun I've been having with this game.
It seems like that's the majority of everybody's fun. That's all I've seen about this game at all is shooting shit into the air with balloons. That's all the videos.
When people coming up with funny songs to put on the helicopter as it shows up. America Fuck Yeah from World Police and...
what the fuck was that? Airwolf? That was that 80s helicopter.
I was thinking Danger Zone, but yeah, Airwolf is a lot better.
Airwolf would be good.
So yeah, I just got a puppy. He got his eye shot out. I had my eye shot out, so it seems like we're going to be buddies.
Yeah, you will be.
Beating the shit out of all your soldiers at Mother Base actually increases their morale. So every time I go to leave and go get back on the chopper to go to redeploy, it's just nothing but unconscious bodies all over the place, and this tiny little puppy barking real happily, like, "All right, I'll see you later. Who's gonna feed me?" So yeah.
So I've heard.
Go ahead.
I've heard you can actually be other people in this game.
Well, there's a character select, so I would think so. I don't know anybody who that would be quite yet, though, because I've heard that kind of as soon as you get the side missions, you want to do them. So I'm really only 3 missions into that game proper, so I'm guessing I haven't unlocked a lot of what there is to unlock yet. And it says I'm 3% done, so...
I feel like every time I've gotten on Steam, you've been playing that, so...
Yeah, I didn't realize I left it running on Friday night.
Oh, okay.
So I have like 35 hours played if you listen to Steam, but it's actually probably more like 4 or 5.
Okay. Have you assigned any custom theme music to your helicopter landing, aside from Danger Zone?
I haven't. I figured out how to do it. I went online and found sort of where you got to put the directories and stuff like that. But I haven't screwed around with it enough because I buy a lot of my music from iTunes, and that doesn't work because you can't put that into any other program because it's like an MP3 4A or something like that.
God, fucking ivory tower bullshit. I'm not going to start on Apple.
Yeah. So suffice to say, I could probably download it off of YouTube and split out the. Or just make a recording of my own, and I just haven't done it yet. So I've been.
Yeah. Are you just touring it like a red-blooded American?
Kids in America? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been in my head for a week now.
Yeah.
Man, the internet's just been fucking on fire with this game lately, and I really want to play it, and I don't want to play all the other Metal Gears because I'm really bad at those games.
You kind of don't need to. The story's very insular. Like, basically, if you want to treat this as GTA, you kind of can. If you don't want to know any of the story, I mean, there's an assload of cutscenes at the beginning of the game. But once you actually get into Afghanistan, it's not really... I mean, I think I've only not been able to skip, like, maybe 90 seconds worth of cutscenes / them talking at you. The rest is all on cassettes you pick up. So, sort of, if you want to kind of thing.
I guess the other part for me is I just fucking love open world games. Like, and I do have some lines. I've never been able to get into a GTA, for instance. And I've tried, maybe bitterly and unfairly tried, but...
Yeah, it doesn't have lasers in it, so John's out.
Well, like Sleeping Dogs I thought was fucking phenomenal, for instance. Like that preview they showed for the Army Let's Go Bust Some Drugs game at the Ubisoft or EA, whoever threw that trailer on it last E3. I thought that game might have looked cool, but my big apprehension is just stealth.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've been playing it as stealthy as I can, and I'm not good at stealth, and I'm still kind of doing okay. If the shit hits the fan and you get seen, you start the game with a silenced, I think it's AR-15. So you can just mow motherfuckers down anytime you want to. It's kind of a lot like Dishonored in that respect, in that it's probably preferable to go stealth. There are bonuses, but you can just open up and light the place up if you want.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Dishonored. I've been meaning to give that game another try. I didn't necessarily dislike it, but I didn't necessarily like it either. And part of my issue with Dishonored, though, was just it is kind of the same problem Deus Ex has in that the heads on the bodies are slightly too small, and it bugs the fuck out of me.
That was it, huh? That's what turned you off. All right.
There's only so much time in the world.
Well, and that may be a strong point or sort of scare you away from MGS5.
Do you want me to hang out with some people with small heads, or should I go to people who obviously love the D?
That's, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's the thing. It'll either be a blessing or a curse, because if you want to finish it, it's going to be a 95-hour game. And so there's a value proposition there if you want to dump all that time into it, but it's not for everyone. I'm glad that every podcast in the world convinced me to get it, but I can't in good conscience just across the board recommend it. So
some podcasts I've been hearing calling it this kind of permanently revolutionary game that people will still be coming back to for years to come for kind of design insights. Do you have any comments on that so far?
It is absolutely beautiful, and I'm playing it on my new PC. So I'm playing it on a 780. So it looks gorgeous. The models look great. The scenery looks great, and the gameplay's fun. I don't know if maybe I have to be 5 or 6 more hours into it before I'm starting to see what other people are saying like that. As of right now, it's a good open world game. Okay. It's not revolutionary, but it is well done so far. I'm hoping that I don't spend 85 hours in the desert. There's camo for like forests and gray and stuff, so I'm wondering if maybe I'll be able to change locales. I'm hoping so. because I'm gonna get real tired of just brown as far as the eye can see. But yeah, it's good. I'm digging it.
Okay, you have any closing comments, or should we move on to whatever the fuck Joey brought?
I know. I don't got shit.
If you're on the fence, you can probably wait for a sale.
Yeah, I'm kind of and my problem right now too is I'm in the middle of Xenoblade, and I don't want to get into Xenoblade yet. I want to beat it before I talk about it a whole lot on the carousel. And unfortunately, I'm only 30 hours in, and that game is going to be fucking 100 or 150 hours. It is.
Well, it's nice to sort of MGS is the reason I haven't been playing a lot of Vanquish, which is the game club game we're doing the cast on Thursday. Thankfully, that's real quick. I looked it up on how long to beat today, and it's like 6 hours if you take your time. So.
I think you're like that first act is going to take you probably 2 to 3 hours, and then the second act is probably an hour or two, and probably acts 2 through 4 are an hour or two. And I still got to do Act 5 before Thursday, but
yeah, I just shot up a giant. This is probably indicative of the entire game. I just shot up a giant robot because he had a bunch of glowy bits.
Yeah, that doesn't clear anything up. I mean,
no.
It really just has to do with how giant. And were you moving in a moving vehicle at the time, kind of thing. But anyway, preview for. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be on the TVGP Game Club Thursday. I think that's when it is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you should join us then, wherever that is. Does
in
that
the
stream,
cyberspace.
Do you guys stream that on the E1 M1 network thing?
We do.
Okay, cool. So go at that on Twitch, the E1 M1 network. Anyway, Joey, I think you had some books to talk about.
Sure I do. I'm pulling stuff out of my ass right now as we speak. Ready? But I figured...
ass books, go.
Ass books, let's go.
I need to set up like a censored screen for OBS. Whenever you say something like that, and then we can just... It'd be great. Everyone in the audience, pretend we did that.
Yes, pretend we put up a big censored thing. But ass books. Let's go. Anyway, I thought October's coming up, and there was like the big super moon last night. Did you guys see it?
I did not. I thought it was supposed to be at 7, and hung out with Susie for a bit out there and didn't see shit, and then went to bed, and then looked up my phone and realized everyone was posting. It was like 10, and everyone was like an hour ago.
That's when like the full eclipse I think happened was around there.
Yeah, it's just like motherfucker.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I was watching football all day, and the Bears. God, the Bears are awful. So by the time that rolled around, I was pretty cranky and just said, "Fuck it." You know what? I don't care. There's going to be another one in 22 years. I'll just watch it.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, so the next one, it's somewhere around 18 or 20 years or something like that. Is when the next one will be. But it was cool. We all went outside and watched it, and my little girl said moon for the first time, which was really cute. But it was very Halloween-y, so I thought I would... I have a bunch of horror books on my to-read list that are coming out this month, so I thought I would talk about a few of those. Like, the big one that I'm really excited for is we have a audio production of Lock and Key that's coming out. That's the Lock and Key comic book by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez.
Oh, hey, isn't that free on Audible?
Yes, it's free on Audible right now. It's I think it's free until November 5th or something like that is when it'll get pulled from the free stuff, but it's not even like I'm shocked they're giving it away for free because it's 13 hours and 26 minutes for the total time on it. Like it's not a small book. But it has a fucking stellar cast on it too. It has Kate Mulgrew from Voyager and Orange is the New Black, Haley Joel Osment, I forget who else. The biggest name person is someone who I haven't ever heard of.
What does that say about you?
I know. What does that say about me? But everybody else is excited about her, but I don't know who the fuck she is. She's on some TV show I don't watch.
Tatiana Maslany?
That would be the one. Tatiana Maslany. Yeah, whatever. What's she on? What show is she on?
She's from Toronto.
Yeah, well, that's why.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, she's on some famous show right now. But Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, I believe, are also going to be lending their voice to the performance, and it's a full cast audiobook, obviously. So go out and get it. I'm excited. Lock and Key is one of my favorite comic books of all time, and Joe Hill is one of my favorite writers. So I'm really excited for it. I'm curious to see if it's going to be like if it's the whole series condensed into one audiobook, or if it's just the X amount of the volumes, or what they're doing with it. But yeah,
she was in Diary of the Dead, and that's the only thing I'm seeing that jumps out to me.
Nice. Yeah, I never watched Diary of the Dead.
You're good.
Yeah, I figured that's why I didn't pick it up.
Sorry, I'm just reading the summary here. This sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of you guys introducing me to comic stuff, that Jessica Jones trailer. Did you guys see that?
Oh,
yes, yeah.
Looks fucking awesome, right?
It does look fucking awesome. It looks great. I'm really excited for it.
That is her fucking character in a nutshell. Like, waking up at 3, smashing her alarm clock, empty fucking liquor bottles everywhere.
And just like, the trailer's probably only 7 or 8 seconds long, but just, I feel like I got a real good feel for that sort of show's attitude and sort of just their general feel. I could not be more excited for that now.
No, my God, the Marvel Netflix stuff is just turning out to be fucking awesome. Like, after Daredevil and just how great that was, like, I have full faith in it. I think it's going to be a great show.
I love the idea of them having an adult outlet, too, right now.
Yeah, I do, too. Like, the Marvel Knights, like, it's all the Netflix stuff. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, Misty Knight's going to be in Luke Cage. I'm excited about that. We don't know for a fact if she will... She's supposed to still be a member of the police force, so she may not have her bionic arm yet. But, like, Punisher, like, they got the fucking Shane from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm excited for him to be the Punisher. I think he'll do a great job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually... I feel bad because Elektra's supposed to be in Season 2 of Daredevil, but is being completely overshadowed by
the Punisher. They're already talking spin-off and shit. Like, it's big news on the Punisher being the Daredevil.
I mean, the rumor is he's the villain for the season. Kind of the...
He puts the asshole back in Frank Castle.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
They're not all gems, all right?
Yeah, but you got to keep tossing them out.
No, some of them are stinkers.
Yeah.
Because you asshole.
Anyway,
well, let's just wipe that away and move on.
Yeah. All right, other book that's coming out. Well, this one's actually not coming out till November, which is a really shitty time for a Stephen King book to come out. They could have had it in October. But the Bazaar of Bad Dreams, which is the new Stephen King short story collection, is coming out. And I accidentally ordered it 2 months ago, so I wasted my freaking Audible credit for something that comes out in November, and I'm kind of pissed off about it still. But I'm excited to read the book because it has a couple of short stories I've been meaning to read for a really long time. One of which is Drunken Fireworks, which just came out in its own audio production, and then also in its own ebook, I think. And then there's one that's been out for a while called QR, that was
of course,
which was a Kindle only ebook years ago, like back when ebooks were first starting out. It was kind of a weird thing for him to do since he hasn't been anti ebook, but he's always been kind of pro, real world, paper books. But I'm really excited.
Speaking of Punisher and Tom Jane and Stephen King, The Mist, that Mist remake is on Amazon Prime. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh God, yeah, I love. That's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations I think ever.
Saw it in the theater.
Ending.
Yeah.
God damn that ending.
And that's not how the novella ends at all. Stephen King's actually been quoted as saying that he likes that ending a lot more, and he wishes he would have thought of it.
he is correct.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Oh my God, that ending.
Like it drags a little, but it is the last 10 minutes of that might be the best I've ever seen in a horror movie.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. If you haven't seen The Mist, go out and watch it because it's a wonderful horror movie.
So, real quick, I just want to display how bad a person I am. So, when the whole Kim Davis bullshit was going on, I really wanted to find a clip of the church lady getting shot in the head from The Mist.
Spoilers, John. Spoilers. No.
Oh, my bad. It's like one of the most gratifying moments in a movie ever. Just, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, fuck that bitch. God damn it. Stephen King has a hard-on for like crazy religious ladies. Like he writes them really scary though. Like and accurate. But The Mist actually has a ton of Dark Tower references in the movie too, which I was kind of shocked. That was some of the first times I'd ever really seen like blatant Dark Tower stuff.
Like what? I didn't catch a single one.
Yeah, the poster he's painting at the very beginning because he's a movie.
Oh,
poster.
that one I did catch.
Yeah, that's Roland of Gilead from the Dark Tower, and he's painting a Dark Tower. So he's basically painting a Dark Tower movie poster, which is still in kind of. I guess they finally have a green light for it now, but it's still kind of in production hell.
I think that's a terrible idea. I think everyone is going to be. I don't care how it comes out. Everyone is going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
there's no way they're going to be able to do that justice for the people who love that series.
No, I'm really worried about it. Like I want to see it so bad. I want to see it done well, but I don't know that it can be filmed. Like it's one of those.
So here's my prediction. They're going to go through with the idea of doing all 7 movies. The first movie, because it's a book that is like 100 pages long, is going to be fucking perfect. And it's going to gradually, as the books get bigger, the movies are going to gradually get worse as they have to cut stuff out.
Or you're going to end up with Harry Potter type shit, where it's like, hey, movie 5, actually 3 movies, because there's just so much.
Well, and the worst part is they're aiming at an ending that, despite what we may feel, is very unpopular. So by the time you get, like, if you split the last book into 2...
I don't think that there's no way they can do like the 7th book at all. It's going to have to be completely rewritten. I don't think they're going to do that like the way it is in the 7th book. I don't see how they can.
Well, and they also okay, spoiler, whatever. It's they got to kill a kid a couple times in the fucking book, and that's generally frowned on in film. Although Aliens vs. Predator 2 did that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, it's like and it's going to end up being like The Road. And not because it's so grimdark or whatever, because they spend 450 pages on the same fucking road walking.
Yeah. It's broken up by, like, all the stuff back when they said they were going to do a television series and the movies. Like, I was really excited for that format because they were going to basically turn the entire 4th book, The Wizard and Glass, into a television series. And I think that would have worked really well with just this, that story of young Roland and Susan. Like, I think that would have played really well as a television series. Yeah,
that story, it really only has probably 7 or 8 beats to it.
Yeah,
you're going to try and get an entire season of television out of that?
I think they could. They could stretch stuff out through it, and I think it could work. I really do. That's my favorite book of all of them. It's The Wizard and Glass. Like, I'm a minority in that regard. But
yes, you are.
Yeah, I love The Wizard and Glass. Like, after I got over the whole, well, shit, now I have to pause and listen to him tell a story about his past anger, after I got over that, I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it's one of his most beautifully written stories he's ever done.
But there are 0 crazy trains.
I know, there aren't any crazy trains in it.
I mean, Blaine really is the star of the front half of that series for me, too.
Oh, God, Blaine.
He's a pain.
He's a pain, and that is the truth. But anyway, okay, so rounding out, horror reads, those are 2 books I haven't read that are coming out in October and November that I'm excited about. Also want to talk about one that I did read this last month, which is like this book has the best title of a book that I have seen in ages, and it is The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant. And
yeah, I saw you posted something on Twitter about that, and I was like, all right, I might be in.
It has such, like, that title is just so good. That is such a good title, and it's sad because the book does not live up to it. It has, God, it's...
Well, doesn't it describe itself as uninteresting?
That would be better. Like, if it would have lived up to the title and that it was uninteresting, like, I think that would have at least been... I don't know. It's just, it's very... I want to love the book. I really do. It has some funny beats to it, but it's about Fred, who is an accountant in life, and he is unceremoniously turned into a vampire one night and then left under a dumpster. And he wakes up the next day and he kind of just goes back about his life as an accountant. But
he goes back into work.
Yeah.
One, two, two spreadsheets.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, it's one of the problems with the book is the format. It's not a long book. It's 7 hours to begin with, like as far as the audiobook goes, and it's set up as 5 short stories that are told in chronological order that are all starring pretty much the same cast throughout it, but they all are, it feels like the first season of a television pilot somebody pitched and then didn't get written, so they decided to go through and make it into a book. Like, I think the book would have done really well as like a CW series or something like that, but it's very... It's hard for me to even describe what I don't like about it. Like, it's because it has some funny parts.
Well, I think when you said CW series, I think that kind of nails it.
Yeah, that pretty much does. That's exactly like that came to me right after I finished it. I was like, this would make a really wonderful CW series, but it doesn't really work for a book. Like,
so what are you guys trying to say? You have a problem with Arrow and Flash and?
It's so funny you said that because I have the TV on mute and I looked over and as I was saying that there was a commercial for Arrow. And I'm thinking, why am I saying this? I like these guys.
I don't.
I do too, and that's the thing. Like, CW is kind of like my guilty pleasure stuff. Like, I watch it, but I don't ever feel like
it's garbage.
Yeah,
it's good,
but it's good garbage.
I mean, let's be honest. They just make you look at a lot of abs is the problem, and and at some point you're like, I don't have those abs,
and then you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of cringe-worthy dialogue in the book. A lot of the characters just don't have any. None of the characters have any depth to them. They're all completely like 1 or 2 beat stereotypes. The whole thing feels like just a geek's power trip fantasy, which I'm usually all about, but this one's a boring one. Because the vampire is uninteresting in life, gets a bunch of friends that are cool to make him kind of badass, and then he gets a hot blonde girl that's also this crazy supernatural freak, as his girlfriend, and like it's I don't know. Wow. I was disappointed with it.
That does sound disappointing.
Yeah, it has so like.
It sounds just so rote.
Yes, it is. That is exactly the problem with it. And the guy that turns Fred into a vampire is quoted at one point saying, being so disappointed in him because so much potential, and that's exactly how I feel about the book. Is it had so much potential, and it just squandered all of it.
You know what this sounds like is another book with a really bad title called Undead and Unwed, and it was a book my brother loaned me. Which had a surprisingly graphic sex scene in it.
And the corner of the page was dog-eared right there.
I don't know. Well, it was. I guess he didn't loan it to me. He gave me the audiobook, is what he did.
Oh, okay.
Come to think of it. So that would not have been non-applicable. But it read like it was. It's probably a sexist book. It's about a female secretary who's obsessed with shoes, who gets turned into a vampire and then is trying to live her life as a vampire afterwards, and then starts sleeping with dark, mysterious vampire who is even taller with her. And I don't know.
This sounds terrible.
I don't think I finished the book. Like, it was kind of cute at first, even though it was probably sexist, and I just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah. God.
Well, the world we live in has so much good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't waste your time with stuff that's not worth finishing.
Yeah, I almost didn't finish this book. Like, I stuck with it, just hoping maybe it would get a little bit better. And it has really good reviews on Goodreads. Like, a lot of people really liked it, and I have no idea why they liked it so much. Like, maybe if I had read this book like 10 years ago, like I probably would have absolutely loved it. Like, but like you said, there's too much good shit in the world, and I've read a lot of really great shit over the past several years, and I guess it's just kind of taken my my taste levels up above where I can enjoy this book responsibly. And I'll leave it. I was gonna stop there, but I don't want to leave on a down note on my stuff. So I talk really quickly about one really good book I read just recently. That's another horror book which I absolutely recommend to anybody. It would be a great October read. It's called Head Full of Ghosts, and it is the story of it's kind of weird in that its format is strange. It's the story of this young girl. She's telling her life story basically to a journalist that's going to write a book, and so part of it takes place in that framing device of them talking about the book, and then she's telling them the story of when she was 8, she was on a reality television show because her father thought that her little sister was possessed. And so it was this reality television show that followed her and her family around with her possessed or mentally ill little older sister, and it's told partially through that, and then it's also told partially through blog entries from this kind of nameless horror fiction blog poster that's reviewing the television series as well and breaking it down. So every time you kind of get something that makes you say, "Oh shit, that's got to be supernatural," the next chapter will be this blog post that kind of shows you why it gives you a counter theory as to why it was all bullshit and TV magic, and and that the older sister was like legitimately insane and not possessed. And so you have this big inner dialogue throughout the entire thing, and it's a wonderful story. It's really well done. It was gut-wrenchingly depressing at the end.
I was going to say, you didn't want to end on a down note, so you went with this one that's a laugh a minute?
I know it is a laugh a minute, but no, it's a good book. It's a very good book. It was very well written. I was very impressed with it. It's one of my new favorite horror books, and it's not not your typical possession story, so don't let that kind of sour your interpretation of the book going in. It's a very atypical horror book, and I really enjoyed it. But yes, and it is a down note, but it's not a down note for me because I like depressing shit. I don't know why.
Well, on another upbeat note, the corporations own the government. They're all going to start killing Mexicans soon, and
the only way we can fight back is with Kickstarter.
Yeah, with Kickstarter.
Oh,
Fight
okay.
the man.
Okay. So I'm going to start doing this thing where I start kind of talking about the Kickstarters I'm kind of backing and why. I think like people have gotten more Kickstarter savvy as time has gone by, but I still don't. But judging by how much funding those Japanese Kickstarters got, not to say that those aren't good projects deserving of being greenlit, it still makes me doubt that most people know what they're doing with their money.
Well, saying greenlit is an excellent thing to bring up because there's so much. Steam Greenlight has so much half-assed garbage on there that people just throw up in the hopes that they'll get enough thumbs up to actually get a real development deal. And Kickstarter's a little better than that because people are voting with their wallets, but still I feel like, people don't think about throwing $3 or $4 behind something that may never come out just because it's only $3 or $4.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing, it's interesting that you brought up Greenlight because Kickstarter games are not necessarily greenlit by Steam. One of them, for instance, that I backed recently, and this one I consider a gamble. It's a $25 gamble. It's called Battle Chasers. It's based on a 90s comic by Joe Mad.
Fucking Battle. I just shelved so many of those books.
I have never read Battle Chasers. My understanding is it ended at issue 9 and never went anywhere. But Joe Mad, is the guy behind the art style of Darksiders 1 and 2. And I like kind of what they're pitching on this game. I like that they're pitching it as kind of a Super Nintendo era style JRPG, but at the same time, it's an open area and you have different dungeons to explore, and it has a very distinct art style. And kind of the previews they've shown it of it have been pretty good looking.
And that Battle Chasers comic could not be more 90s, like in its art style. Like it could come with a free wallet chain and not be more 90s.
Oh God, yeah.
Like it's
it looks super 90s. Like honestly, when I initially saw the picture, I'm like, is that Guts from Berserk?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's what the main guy with the sword looks like. And then you have this little tiny elf person that looks like it could be the elf from like
Gauntlet?
Sure. I was actually going to go with that one game that everyone hates because it is because of the sorceress and her
God.
her
Yeah.
large endowments. I can't Dragon's Crown. But it kind of reminded me of the elf from Dragon's Crown, except she had these two magical like fist things that were twice the size of her body.
It looks a lot like the gauntlet that War had in the first Darksiders.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played I don't remember Gauntlet very well. I played a bunch on the N64 on Gauntlet, and of course the arcade, but I didn't play any of the original
Those,
Gauntlet.
man, those do not hold up. When we did the TVGP meetup at Galloping Ghost a couple of summers ago, I think we walked away from every Gauntlet game in the place because they're just garbage quarter eaters.
Yeah, that's what they're designed to do.
Ugh.
Red Mage needs health. Insert quarter.
Dwarf needs food badly.
Yeah. The oddly enough, the actual newest Gauntlet isn't too bad, but I digress. Anyway, so the Battle Chasers thing, one, I'm not confident. Like it's basically a bunch of I just went blank on the name. The guys who made Darksider, that company, it's a bunch of ex-employees from there that kind of started this company and are kicking it up. And they met their minimum goal, but I don't think they're going to go too far beyond the 700 or so K they're almost at right now.
This is the worst name ever. Battle Chasers, Night War.
Yeah, it's pretty corny.
Yeah. It's $697,405 is what they're at right now.
Yeah, so again, it's a game that I'm not like for instance that Castlevania like whatever game that what's his name made. I'm not actually confident that game will come out. But I mean,
well, exactly,
maybe.
and there's so many, people have been saying, with this whole thing with Kojima leaving Konami, that they're saying, oh yeah, well, just go to Kickstarter and you can get funded that way. Well, let's say they get $5-10 million from Kickstarter, which would be unheard of. Those games cost 10 to 15 times that to make them, and he's notorious for going back to developers and going, hey, I need some more money. Like, that shit don't fly on Kickstarter.
Well, no, because that's what you got, and that's my whole problem with Kickstarter is it seems like there's more and more people who could get funding through investors that are kind of deciding, fuck it, let's just try it on Kickstarter because they don't lose anything at that point.
Or to use it as a springboard.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what specific projects are you talking about? Because most of the projects I've seen, like Battle Chasers, would never make it with a publisher, for instance.
You don't think so?
No.
Sort of the bigger name stuff, like sort of that sort of mid-tier B-level production kind of thing.
Well, it was like Zach Braff's movie that he was trying to push onto there. Like, that motherfucker can get funding. Like, it's stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, for every one of those, you have a Veronica Mars movie. There's no way anything would have happened with that franchise outside.
No, and I don't feel bad about the Veronica Mars. Like, I'm not condemning the entire model. But it does have the model does have problems with it, and it has a potential to get ruined by things like that. But we do get things like
there's just such a level of shadiness that's available with this because people, it's kind of you pays your money and you takes your chances, and we would want a developer to be open and forthright about everything, but I don't feel like we have any assurance whatsoever that they would be, and I'm not sight unseen giving $40 to somebody just because they want to reboot. I don't know, Mutant League Football. I would buy the shit out of that game, and I will when it eventually comes out. But I'm not fronting a developer money just on a guess.
Well, and this is why I'm saying something like, okay, I'm gambling $25 on Battle Chasers. Like when Wasteland 2 was pitched, it was headed by Brian Fargo. Brian Fargo used to run Interplay. Yes, he's not the head of Interplay anymore, and yes, that company eventually went down. But I mean, he has the chops, he has the experience, he knows what he's doing. Like when you break down $1 million, like let's say the average employee at a game company makes about $70K a year, and that might actually be undershooting for a lot of them.
That's
it still comes out to $350 an hour.
That's 14 employees is what it comes down to, and what you're paying for in a Kickstarter is you're paying for the employees and you're paying for whatever engine they license for it.
Yep.
Now, the engine licensing stuff has gotten a lot better with Unity and the way Unreal is doing their stuff now.
Yeah.
But, that's just in the last year or so. We still have, about 2 years of Kickstarters that didn't have... Unity 4 was good, but it was not... Like, look at the animations in the original Wasteland 2 and Shadowrun Returns. Like, they are not great. Those games have great style. I love those games. I love the tactics in them. But they very much have limitations that I'm 90% sure are from their engine. And then you look at, like, a trailer for... I know you haven't heard of this game, Jake, but The Bard's Tale.
No, it's not ringing a bell.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody, I'm starting to get some. I think somebody probably retweeted that Kickstarter. I don't know, like every half hour for a good 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah,
I feel like it's some tangential to you. Like you would know him too, I bet. But anyway,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I know. Weird thing. But like Bard's Tale, if you look at the trailer for it, it's a fucking gorgeous trailer. They built it in Unreal.
People are doing some crazy bananas fucking shit with that Unreal Engine. Just crazy.
I'm pretty excited to see all the places they go with it. But and honestly, the money I put into Bard's Tale, I put too much money into it. I don't want to say how much at the moment. I'm starting to feel like it might have been like it didn't get as funded as much as I thought it would, and I don't think it got as funded as much as Inxile thought it would. I forgot.
Not for your lack of trying, that's for sure.
Yeah.
God, like, I don't know. Like, and that is one of the most, you touched on one of the most expensive parts of video game development, which is assets. Asset creation is not cheap. Artists aren't cheap. And if you try to go the half-assed way of kind of buying assets, like, they're fucking expensive.
Well, and just kind of moving on to another Kickstarter, this next one is not a gamble. It is Divinity 2 Original Sin. The original Divinity Original Sin, the first one, came out, and it was $40. And it is if you like turn-based strategy, if you like the fantasy environment, if you like the ability to have a little bit of role-playing agency in the world, and you like some goofiness, like this game is just fantastic. And like I think I went on a $25 tier, and I think this Kickstarter ends in like a day or two. But, and I know the game they produce is going to be good. They just signed up Chris Aveline on it. If you're not familiar with Chris Aveline, he was behind Planescape Torment. He has worked at Obsidian for years, so he would have had a hand in anything they produced over the last couple years. And he generally is involved in most good Western RPGs that come out. But
the people who liked that game loved that game. It's not my deal. It's a little tacticsy for my taste, but I can see why people got so excited about that first one.
Yeah, well, and like me backing 2 at $25, if that releases for the same price as the first one, I have literally just saved myself money. Granted, I've had to spend $25 2 years in advance.
You'd be losing money to not take them up on it.
Yeah. Another interesting aspect about that Kickstarter, and it's something that's happening more rampant, but it's happening with companies that have already produced successful games from Kickstarters, is that they've come out and said, look, we're making this game already. It's going to be made. We would like to add these things to it, but we don't have enough money to do that.
And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
if a company is going to do that, to me, they're being upfront. They're putting everything on the table and saying, look, here's what we're trying to do with this money you're going to give us. It's just so easy for spending to go crazy out of control when it comes to video game development.
Yeah, well, and as the Kickstarters go, you notice a lot of the developers just tack on like reward tiers or like gold tiers and things like that, and you can tell they're just either getting excited or desperate and making promises that they're going to regret that they have to keep later. Like I kind of advise most people not to do like physical tiers for Kickstarters because one, you almost always receive the physical goods several months after the game comes out. And two, there's no guarantee that the physical goods are going to be of quality. the Shadowrun Returns. Like I got it was like a dog tag USB card thing. Doesn't work.
Oh, there's a concern.
Like I could have returned it. It evidently was a rampant problem, but by the time I got it, I was just like, one, I'd played the game, I enjoyed it. 2, I was already pissed off that it took so long. 3, I knew this company had overstepped their bounds and were regretting it every day that went by because they realized that shipping a physical product themselves was not
something they could handle.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and they're, like, if you look at the next Shadowrun Kickstarter, the Hong Kong, they only offered 2 reward tiers. They offered a bag and they offered little miniatures. And I'm willing to bet they hired someone to handle the physical side of that. Like
you would have to.
Like Wasteland 2 enrolled Deep Silver to do all their physical goods. And, you know, that box set still shipped like a month or 2 later. Like, the only one who has shipped their physical goods near when the game came out was Obsidian with their Pillars of Eternity. Anyway, for the last Kickstarter I want to talk about, this one doesn't launch until tomorrow at noon. This is Harebrained Schemes, who did the Shadowrun stuff. The thing that Harebrained Schemes does that no one else does is they deliver their products when they say they do at the beginning, which is fucking mind-blowing. Like, who would do that and why? And maybe this one will be the one where it's different, where they say, look, our end goal is going to shift depending on how much money we get because of the nature of the project. So they're currently working on a multiplayer Battletech game. I always get the name wrong. The Kickstarter is to add a single-player campaign component to it. And it's going to launch tomorrow at noon, and they've been doing this. Like, there's some website now to kind of hype a project release date, which I kind of fucking hate, to be honest with you. It's just
I'm looking at it right now, and it's fucking frustrating.
Yeah, release your damn Kickstarter video, get it over with. But the one thing they did do that I liked was they found a MechWarrior Twitch channel that was really popular and did like an hour-and-a-half interview with him today, and just answering, like, it was almost entirely just answering fans' questions and letting them know what they're aiming to do, what they're not aiming to do, what they'll evaluate as they go, depending on how much funding they get.
That's smart.
And that's... those guys have really impressed me overall, because, like, the first Shadowrun Returns game, it was good, but the more I've learned about Shadowruns, I've learned kind of the bad aspects and some of the storytelling. But at the same time, Shadowrun Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong are fucking phenomenal if you like those turn-based tactics style games.
I feel like I love that world, even though the only experience I ever had with it was like back on the Genesis. Because it was a real-time game from what I remember, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Genesis one was. I didn't really play a lot of it. Like, before Shadowrun Returns came out, I may or may not, you can't prove anything if you come to my house, police, got it on ROM and emulator and attempted to play it. And what's interesting is one of the first characters you run into in the game is in Shadowrun Returns.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, I would give that series another chance. I mean, I wanted to try that first-person shooter thing that they did, and then they went, yeah, there's no single player, and I went, see ya. So I'd be happy to give that, not genre, that series another chance. They won't let me.
Returns was awesome. Like, it was really a great game. I played it on Android exclusively, and I liked it a lot.
Well, you're talking to a guy who made it 4 levels into XCOM, and that's what universally loved, so it's not that I have a beef with the...
I made it maybe an hour into XCOM, and I played a ton more Shadowrun.
Shadowrun, I don't know. I don't think the game's very hard. But, well, I say that. It also depends what class you choose, because if you pick like a melee class, you're going to have issues for the first half of the game.
It was less about it being difficult and more about it being not interesting. That was my beef.
Which game did you try?
The Shadowrun, just when they, the first Kickstarter they did, this sort of isometric...
Right, Shadowrun Returns.
Okay, there you go.
Was it just the combat? Was it the story?
It was the combat. It was all the combat. I was just bored, and I really wanted to find more out about that world. Like, the whole concept of cyberpunk Seattle is pretty great. and I couldn't get past the gameplay.
Okay.
I wanted to.
Well, yeah, there's no win in it for you then. Well, and you're probably not going to like Robotech either, but because Robotech's going to be turned. I keep saying Robotech, BattleTech.
BattleTech.
BattleTech is going to be turn-based, but they're not using the Unity engine in it. He actually talked about that a bit on the live stream about how they kind of found themselves kind of dead-ended in a corner in terms of expanding on the look or functionality of the game because of the limitations of Unity 4. But BattleTech will evidently be in 3D because they said they really want to show off the mechs and things in it. But I don't know. BattleTech is a franchise that I have very little experience in. I owned one BattleTech game when I was in 8th grade in 1993 or 4, whenever that was. And it was like this online game, and you literally it threw you into an arena, and then you just charged the person and shot as fast as you could, and then one of you died, and then that was it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And what's funny, like, the funniest part of that experience is that's on like a 14.4 modem.
Yeah.
So you're spending like 5-10 minutes to connect for like 2 minutes of gameplay, and you're like, oh, fuck, that was awesome. And then you do it again.
2 minutes of super choppy gameplay, I bet.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry I missed that one.
Yeah. I don't remember. I probably still have it around here somewhere. But
you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I was just saying that to be nice.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so that launches tomorrow. That's all I got for my Kickstarter stuff right now. Do you guys have any other topics you want to touch on, or should I get to our one email that is not a question? Like the email does not have a question in it.
Okay.
No, the statement.
Yeah,
let's do the email.
Okay. So it says this is from our good friend Ian. To Johnny.
Hi, Ian.
Hello, Ian.
To Johnny Puns Musum, Captain Stevesy, in parentheses Joey.
Yep.
The King Bee, parentheses JZ, and Scoticus Aurelius, Maximus Jokius to the Maxicus.
You really nailed that
Don
one.
always tramples your nicknames. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he probably does it on purpose, let's be honest.
Probably, yeah.
He said, fellas, honestly, when I saw on Twitter you were back, for what it's worth, it put a huge smile on my face. Just wanted to drop a line and say I love the cast. It's great to have you guys back. Look forward to listening to every minute of it. You guys rock.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ian.
No, Ian, you rock.
You rock, Ian. You rock.
Yeah, it's good to
You
be
rock,
back.
Ian?
A rock, Ian?
Did you guys ever watch Rockin' Lords back in the day?
Watch what?
What?
Rockin' Lords?
Rockin' Lords? No.
It was a
That's not
GoBots.
That's not a thing. You made that up.
It's a GoBots spinoff. It's they had the GoBots versus the Rock Lords, and they were rocks that turned into robots.
Sounds riveting.
I know. It's so exciting. They turn into a rock.
Holy shit, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those.
I think the Bamfcast actually watched it recently and fucking hated it.
I remember those. Yeah,
The first- I punched into Google. The first thing is Wikipedia. Then there's a toy archive. And then the next thing is an article that says 20 GoBots that remind us why the GoBots sucked so much.
You know what? The GoBots sucked, but that Cyclotron toy was fucking awesome. I think that was his name. I might have gotten it wrong. Whatever. Are we out? Are we done?
We're done.
Yeah, I think we're out.
Okay, so do you guys? Let me see.
I can't take any more GoBots.
No.
Other Jay-Z, you can also be found at the TVGP Video Game Club over at the E1M1 Network.
Yes, sir. And you can find me on Twitter at the other JZEE.
Yeah, you guys just do this. Joey, where can we find you?
You can find me on PlayStation Network as Joey Nebula 0, the number 0, and the same on Twitter.
Yeah, when we do a Rocket League stream, we're looking to have people from the forums or listeners. Do we have forums? That's just a force of habit.
No, we're gonna try. I'm working on it.
We're trying to have listeners / viewers, whatever, come play with us. We're on PSN, but I think we should be able to get folks from the PC in as long as no, I guess we wouldn't have voice chat and we couldn't have a party with them, could we?
No, I looked up to see if we could go through and do a private game, and there's no support for it yet. So we're kind of SOL on if your Steam wanting to play with us right now. Like I've flirted with the idea of getting the Steam version, but I don't know that my crappy desktop can handle it right now. I need to get a gaming PC. But yeah, we're looking for people to play with, and I would really like to, if we get enough people playing or watching streams or anything like that, doing a whole carousel Rocket League tournament thing. I think it would be fun.
I'd be down for that.
Sounds cool. Maybe I'll eventually play it.
Yeah, you need to play. It's fun.
No Rockin' Lords leagues though.
So
those are out.
Yeah. New Warframe update is supposed to come out this week too, so I'm probably going to stream that on our channel at some point. I don't know. Maybe I'll take the Monday slot. We'll see. Depends how busy the weekend. Okay, so we will see you guys. Oh, you can email us at carouselpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on everything else at either Musim, M-U-S-I-M, or John Musim. So, see you guys next turn.
Bye.
Okay, we're still live, but we need titles.
All right. So I wrote a couple down. I have Rainbow Bridge to Shankington.
I like that one.
Yep, which I like. I also have Huge Axeman.
I think it was funnier. It doesn't come across as well in text.
No, it does not.
It's funny, but yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down Rainbow Bridge to Shankington too.
I think that one's good.
And
I also have Dr. Bigby MD and Ass Books Are Go. With or without an exclamation point.
There's your point. It needs an
I think it's Rainbow Bridge to Shankington.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what it is.
Okay, cool. Well,
All right.
Thanks for everyone for joining us on the live stream. And if I remember how to control everything, we will see you guys next time.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming out.
Wow.